increase 240 by 20%. So I'm going to show you two ways to do this. So you can choose depending on which way you are happy doing. So I'm increasing 240 by 20%. So a really good place to start usually is 10%. And 10% you get by dividing your number by 10. So if I divide that number by 10, I get 24. So 10% of 240 is 24, or 24.0. 20% therefore is going to be double that. Why am I doubling? Because this has been doubled. So we've start off with our 10% and we need to double it to get to 20%. So therefore I'm going to double this one as well. And if I double 24, I get 48. So that's 20% of 240. But I need to increase 240 by 20%. So therefore I need to go back to my original value, 240, and increase it. In other words, add on my 20%. My 20% was 48, so I'm going to add it on and I'm going to get 288, and that is your answer. The other way that you can do it is by using multipliers. Now you may be familiar with multipliers from your calculator paper or calculator topic work. So an increase of 20%, is the multiplier of 1.2 or 1.20. So this is your 20% and this is your increase part. So multiplier of 1.2. So we can do this using a multiplication method. I'm just going to get rid of these zeros just to make my calculation a bit easier. And I'm going to do a grid like this. So now it only needs to be a 2 by 2 grid as opposed to a 3 by 3 grid. Makes it a bit easier. And I'm going to do 24 multiplied by, I'm going to ignore the decimal for a minute. So just call it 12. Let's fill this in. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. And if I add along the diagonals, if you're not quite sure where I'm getting this method from, then you have to add along the diagonals here. So 8, add along these diagonals that I'm highlighting. I'll come back to this with my pen in a second. So 8, you don't include these outside ones, they were just for the calculation purposes. 8 here, 4 plus 0 plus 4 is another 8. You can see we're getting the same answer as we did over here. 0 plus 2 plus 0 is 2, and then 0 there, so I don't need to put anything there. 288. Now, if you've not put your decimals in here, or you've taken off a 0 like we did here, you've just got to make sure your answer is reasonable. Well, we know it's an increase, so it's got to be greater than 240. So therefore, if your options were, like you've got 288, you've got lots of different options there in terms of where the decimal point would be. So let me just show you where the decimal point could possibly be. There's lots of different varieties. You could have 28.8, you could have 2.88, you could have 0.288, you could have 288.0. So which of these would be a reasonable answer? Well, considering we're increasing 240, it's got to be it's got to be more than 240, so it can't be that one, can't be that one, can't be that one, it's got to be this one. So your answer is 288. Well done.